Well, given that I'm asked quite often when I have visitors over to the house, neighbors asking about the trim work in here, they all love it. I thank everyone for that, but I get hints here and there that some of my neighbors want help. They want me to pack up my tools and go over their house and start cutting wood, and I'm afraid I just can't do that. Not anymore, anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little video here, and I'm going to refer them to the video and give them the knowledge they need to do this themselves. The topic of this video are these archways. That seems to confuse everyone. They all ask, how did you do those archways? And well, I'm going to show you in this video. I'm going to jump to the end. There's a little story behind these archways here. I obviously did, how would you say it, the lazy thing, and I went out on the internet and I looked for archways like this, and there's several outfits that make them. They make them either flexible, non-flexible, and so on. But everyone that I found was $200 plus just for the segment, the arch. An arc is a segment of a circle. These are not full half circles, they are archways in this community. They use them throughout the community. And so anyway, $200 an opening was far too much. And the other downside was that I found only one outfit that made an archway with casing that would match the standard casing at Home Depot or Lowe's. I don't remember which one it was, but only one out of all of them, and his prices were outrageous too. So I was looking at about $400 per opening if I'd gone that route. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and there would have been 5 if I had not gotten lazy and done the one up there. So anyway, 4 times 4 is 16. I would have been looking at $1,600 just to do the trim around the openings, let alone the wainscoting. I did the wainscoting and the flooring in here at the same time, but I'm not going to discuss that in this video. I'll do another video on that. Anyway, I'm going to show you how to do the archways and show you how to do the trim. If you're thinking about doing wainscoting like this, you absolutely have to, it's a must. You must trim the doorways and the windows first. Okay, we're back. We'll move on with this time. What we're going to do now is we're going to start the fun part. This is a piece of MDF casing that I cut about, I don't know, about 9 inches on either side of the opening. It's just a rough cut. Rarely ever use a tape measure for anything. And what I'm going to do is mark off with a pencil the width of the opening. Now remember, this thing is going to be, it's going to need length on both sides because we're creating an arc with it. So this is going to be just a guide, these 2 marks, for where we want to cut kerfs. And I'm just going to jump to the end of this. What we're going to do is we're going to cut kerfs in this entire piece of casing about 1/8 inch apart between the marks. We don't want to go beyond the marks because we do have to cut a miter here eventually, and we don't want any kerfs in the area we have to cut a miter. And one other thing we're going to do this time, we are going to use a tape measure, is between the 2 marks we're going to find the center of this piece of casing. And what we're going to do is we're going to go up to the top on the ladder there, and we're going to put a triangle or a square on the center mark of this so that we can extend the mark into the eyebrow, whatever you want to call it, the arch up on top. Because this is a straight piece, obviously we can't find the center without extending it above the piece. So more on that in a couple of minutes. I'll set up the ladder and I'll show you. Pretty simple. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to mark the center line up on the wall there. where the archway is. These are the 2 marks that we made before on this piece of molding here. And we'll use the square. Use the square to extend it up into the wall, up onto the wall. So here's the 2 marks I made, 2 marks, and I found the center. I actually had to use a tape measure to do that. There's the 2 marks lined up. Use the center, and oops. This thing is level with the 2 corners here. And we're going to mark the center line. And that's it for this one. Okay, now here comes the fun part. I do this on a scroll saw. You may be able to do this with a Japanese back saw or any kind of a back saw with the workpiece protected by a rag or something in a vise and cut the kerfs. MDF cuts pretty easily. I do this freehand. I don't draw any lines. I did draw the center line here for the nail when we mount this, but other than that, pretty much freehand. And I got a chair here to be comfortable, and I'm just going to start cutting. I usually start on one side and then the other side from center line. See this one out. I do go pretty deep into the workpiece here. First one, pretty deep into the workpiece. See. I don't know if you can see that. There you go. Almost to the top section here, because we do want to bend this. And try to keep the lines straight, but it doesn't always work out that way. Do it freehand, but trust me, it'll bend. Okay, I'll come back when I get something. That's one side down. One more to go. Another half to go. That took about 45 minutes to do. And it does make you tired because there's vibration from the saw. And of course there's resistance as you push the piece through the saw. And so it makes your forearms very tired. And the vibration makes your hands fall asleep. But that's half of it. Just think of all the money you're saving. And by the way, this is another tool that scroll saw that you should think about buying. It's only a little over $100 also. And you know, if you're going to do a job like this, you're saving hundreds, probably thousands of dollars. You know, $100 here and there for a tool isn't a lot, and you can always sell it on Craigslist when you're done. Tools sell fast on Craigslist, so I've had this one for several years. As you can see, it's dusty and dirty, and it's still going strong. It's a Dremel, but that's about it. Let me get to the other side. I'll probably take a little break, though. My arms are very tired from doing just this one half here. And see that the curves are not, they're not perfectly even. They're all freehand. But that's all we need. That's all we need to bend this. And it will bend. Let's see if I can bend it. Give you an idea. Let's see. Let's see, it's bending right now. I don't know if you can see that or not. Get it in focus. No, I can't do this one-handed, but I tried. We'll see you later when we get it up on the wall. We'll bend it right around. Get up on the ladder here. See if we can get one half of this. Okay. I already put a couple of nails in here. Remember, we don't want to nail this thing in completely. Before I do the other half, yeah, I've already done one half, so for your benefit, I'm going to do the other half. There's some 3 nails here. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. And we're ready to go. It's a little hard because I'm right-handed. I'm just going to follow the curvature as best we can without going below. We want to go below it. Okay. There we go. There you have it. Now we're going to knock the miters off. Okay, time to get this finished. What we're going to do here is I've got a Rosetta block here I bought in the home center. It's about a little over an inch thick. You need something about an inch thick. I cut it in 2 pieces. What we're going to do is we're going to make spacer blocks on the back of this piece of trim, on the back of this piece of casing. Put 2 blocks on. We're going to hot melt glue it on, just temporarily, because of course we're going to be removing these. Why do we need these spacer blocks? I'll show you when I get up on top. You don't need a lot of glue on this, just a couple of drops here. You don't want to get crazy with this glue. You do want to be able to take this stuff off. I don't know if this thing is hot enough yet. That's enough right there. I'm going to put any more on there. Put it in place here. It's just a temporary spacer. And I'll just jump ahead a little bit before I place it on the wall. What we want to do is put this piece and that piece on the same plane. Now, since that sits flat against the wall, we want this to sit flat against the wall, but we want it to be above that piece of casing so that we can mark it off with a pencil. And to do that, we're adding these spacers so we can hold it. Camera's not made for a right-handed person. Get my finger out of the way. There we go. A little daub there and a little daub there, and that's enough. And get this on here. And over the top of my kitchen sink here. Okay. I'm going to turn this off for a minute. I'm going to set the camera back up. I'm going to get it up on the wall. And I'm going to show you, I don't know how well this is going to come out on video, but I'll also take a picture. Let me get the camera. Where my camera is. Here it is. Alright. Now, just trim on here. Okay. It's the first piece. Casing on the side. We got a spacer block here, one here, one here. We're going to line this thing up with the wall. It's straight. Got my steel rule again. Line it up. Pretty much lined up. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take this straight edge, put it in the corner here again, like we did before, and we're going to transpose 2 lines here. One will be on the bottom of the casing that's attached to the wall, and the other one will be here on this casing. Okay, now that's the start of the miter for this cut. Now we're going to do the same thing over here. And they're in the same plane, and ladder's not positioned the greatest right now. Back in alignment here. It's okay. I'm afraid to step on my countertop, which is below. I don't want to. Okay. That's about it. Okay, now let me see if I can't get my camera out. Might be better showing you with the camera. The spacer block allows us to be off the wall the same depth as the thickness of this. So we're above this, which is a little over an inch. So this is what we got. We got a good picture of it. 2 lines. On the camera. Hopefully that showed up. It didn't. Not too bright. Okay. And we should have similar behind here. Hopefully I got those 2 shots. Why are we doing this? Well, I'm an engineer, and as engineers do, first thing I did when I planned this job 2 years ago was pull out my calculator. I tried to measure the arc, and an arc, by the way, is just a segment of a circle. And I did a lot of calculating and figuring and this, that, and the other thing, and to figure that, try to calculate what that angle would be. And I did a stupendous job of it. But then, through practical experience, I learned that if I was even as much as 1/10 of a degree off in my measurements, or this was 1/10 of a degree off the curvature of the casing on top, or the wall, it's a 1/16 of an inch higher here than it is over here, or if they didn't spackle it right, and it goes on and on and on. If it's not a perfect arc, it's not a perfect segment of a circle. And so it would just be frustrating to go out to saw armed with the information that you've calculated just to find out that the miter angles are terrible. And that's what happened. And so I learned that the easiest way to do this was just to mark it off with a pencil. And so that's what I've been doing, and that's what you just witnessed. And what I'll do now is I'll figure out the angle to set the saw at just by measuring those 2 lines. I'll turn the camera off. It's on a tripod right now, but I'll try to show you what the angle would be on the piece of casing we just marked. Okay, here's the, if I can get this thing to focus, show you the mark. It's the zoom out here. Okay, here's the mark. Come on now, there it is. There's 1 tick mark there, and there's another right here. Where is it? Put my finger on it. Here. And here. And I'm just going to put my straight edge on it and draw a line between the 2, and that's the angle that we need to cut. The angle will never be 45 degrees, never. It'll always be less than 45. So let me draw this out and I'll measure the angle. Usually I just use an angle finder, set the angle in the angle finder, and then go out to the saw and set the saw blade to the angle finder. That's usually what I do. So I gotta turn the camera off right now. I gotta draw this line, and I gotta set the saw up outside to make this cut. And after I make this cut, gotta do the same thing to the other side with another piece of casing. And then what we're going to do is remove the top casing. You know what I think I'll do before I make this cut? I think I will cut the top casing first. And if there's any adjustments I need, I can always make it to this. Minor adjustments, you know, 1/10 of a degree here, 1/10 of a degree there. But usually I get it right on. But it has been 2 years, almost 3 years, so I don't remember the exact sequence I had. I had a routine down, but I can't remember that routine anymore. So that's probably what I'll do. I'll mark both of these casings off, and before I cut these casings though, I will draw, you know, find the angle up on the casing on mounted on the wall, and I'll end up doing exactly the opposite of what I just said in the previous segment. I did go ahead and cut these casings without removing the casing on the wall, and as you can see, it lines up perfectly with my marks. So they will meet up perfectly as long as I get this, you know, when I take this off the wall, I get that casing cut straight. I should be okay. You can see the mark there and the mark there to be perfect. And so this is the one on the right side, right casing. I get it lined up with the wall here. And you can see the mark. This one's also perfect. It's a little short, about 1/32 of an inch short, but that's no big deal. When it's nailed up, I can compensate for that. But perfect. I just have to take the top casing off and cut it, reinstall it, glue it. Out the saw now, and this is the top casing. And because it's somewhat flexible now and it bends, you got to be careful when you cut these angles that it's clamped, or at least up against the fence on both ends of the board. You don't want any surprises. Same thing for the other end. So I'm going to cut this, and then we're going to get back up on the wall. We're going to put a bead of glue behind it and nail it back up. Okay. And hopefully everything. There's some things I just cannot do on a ladder with the camera going. So, but what I did was I cut the 2 miters on the casing above. As you can see, to make sure that I have the proper curvature, I drew a couple of lines before I took the casing off the wall. Let me see if I can get it in. There's a line right below the clamp, you can see there. And there's another line there, right below the clamp. And what I did was I clamped the 2 ends. There's construction adhesive behind this, by the way. Put the nails back in, but there's always spring back, so you're going to have to clamp it, and you're going to have to probably wait overnight to make sure that it's in proper alignment, so that it's going to match up with the end of the casing. So it's all glued up, it's nailed up, it's all up there, and next thing, we'll just nail up the casing tomorrow, and then more fun stuff. Then we fill in all these gaps with joint compound. And we'll wipe them down with a damp rag, and there'll be very little sanding, but we'll fill in all the gaps as much as we can with the joint compound. And once it's painted over, you'll never know. I took all the clamps off, as you can see. Clamps are gone. And I installed the right hand casing. And here at the floor, I'm going to have to fill that in with a little bit of grout. And the baseboard here will be changed to a higher piece of baseboard, a wider piece of baseboard. But you can see the miter looks pretty good. A little spackle in that joint there, just a little bit, and it'll look perfectly fine. And this side I got a little problem with. The miter's fine, but I've got a light switch box here. And the miter looks pretty good up there, but as you can see, the switch box is about 1/4 of an inch into the molding here. And I hate to cut molding. Looks terrible around a light switch box or an outlet box. This box happens to be the right height. There's no problem with the wainscoting I'm going to put in later, but this is the only problem I have with it. And I think I'm going to try something never tried before, but I'm going to try to create a pocket in the back side of this casing to accommodate that 1/4 of an inch of that switch plate. And I'll temporarily nail the casing to the wall, and I'll make sure that I can get the switch plate in and out with no problem. And if it works out that way, then fine, I'll leave it that way. Otherwise, my other option is this is a plastic plate, just to cut about 1/4 of an inch. It's not even 1/4. I think it's about maybe 1/8 of an inch off the cut it off the end of the switch plate here. Put the casing on the wall and just caulk this with the white caulking. Of course, if you want to take the switch plate off, you'd have to remove the caulking. But that way you don't have to be cutting the casing in any way. That's the other option. I'm not sure which way I'm going to go with it right now, but like I said, I don't like cutting holes. I don't like, cutting a hole in the cutout in the top of the casing. It looks terrible. I already took the cover off this outlet. It's not an outlet, a switch box. I took the cover, you can see the screws are missing. I only have one screw in there right now, but I wanted to take a fast look to see if I could move the box, and I can't, so there's no way. So, I mean, short of tearing the wall apart here. So I'm stuck with this the way it is. So I'll find a workaround one way or another. But anyway, everything else looks good. Looking good up there. Sometime today, I'll set up the camera and we'll start filling in filling in all of those curves with spackle. Takes a while to do it. I'd like to try to do it in sections, and it's not a messy job, but it takes a little while to do it, and you got to be careful not to break any of those orange slices out. I don't know what you call them, but they can be broken out of there if you're not careful. So anyway, that's
we're in a home stretch now.
That's my clock that just went off. We're going to do the spackling now. As I find the bucket of spackle, what do I do with it? Up on the ladder. Just my luck, all these chimes go off just as I start the video. Alright, what I got here is, this is DAP Dry-Tex. You see it? But I like this stuff. It goes on pink and it dries white. So you can actually see where you've spread it and where it dries. I got a couple of paper towels here that are damp, not too wet, damp, and a dry paper towel. And we're going to use our finger. And what we're going to do is we're going to start filling in all these slots we made here. You want to push the spackle down into the slot as far as you can get it. You don't want to do too much at one time, by the way. Don't get ahead of yourself here. And pushing it down into the slot. At the bottom. Same deal. I got something wrong here, I don't know what it is. Oh, glue, jeez. Glue pushed up through the, there's a slot there. I'll have to deal with that somehow, I don't know how. Probably have to sand it. Construction glue. Construction adhesive. I don't want to see any of the slots. And I don't want to get, like I said, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself here, because this stuff starts setting up. It'll be hard to wipe down, and we're going to wipe it down with a damp cloth. And get as much off as we can with our fingers here. I've already filled in some of the nail holes and things here. Get this a little bit more here. I'm waiting on this. I've gone about as far as I want to go right now. I'm going to start taking it off now. Most of it I'll try to get off with my finger here. Wipe it off on the dry rag. First time that ever happened to me, the glue pushed through the slot there from the back side. Pushed through, and I got something showing up there right in the middle. This stuff is starting to set up. It's getting tough to remove with my finger. So now it's time to use the damp rag. I'm going to follow the lines of the molding here. You want to minimize the sanding we have to do. Should be very little sanding involved with this. Okay. You can see once a damp paper towel goes over the top of it, cleans it right up. Like I said, you don't want to make it too wet, you'll start drawing the stuff out. You don't want to draw it out. Make sure you got all the lines of the molding of the casing defined, which I do here. Okay. And we're going to just let this set up until it turns white, and then we'll move on to the next section. Usually I can do more than one section at a time, but for the benefit of the video, I'm going to just stop right here and let it set up, and then we'll do another section, and then we'll probably just end this video because you pretty much got the gist of what's going on here. Okay. Okay. Looks good. Looks good. Yeah. A little bit over here, you can't see it, it's off camera. It's even lighter. Looks pretty good. Could use a little bit. And you can still see the lines when we're finished here. Don't fret over that. There's latex paint, so I'm assuming you're going to use latex. Latex paint is very thick, and it won't show through. Once you get a couple of coats of latex on there, it'll look just wonderful. All right. I'm going to shut the camera off and let the paint go away on that. Let it dry up a little bit and watch some TV. And we'll get back at it. And it should be done in about an hour with this. Okay, we're going to do another little section. And probably end this portion of the video. Because I think you get the gist of what's going on here. I like to try to push down into the cracks as much as I can. Don't get too much on here like I am right now. Getting a bit much on here and I'll have trouble taking it all off. Getting some of it off here. My finger. See how you know, because it's pink, it's much easier to see. You can see exactly what you need to take off. You only want the spackle to remain in the cuts, in the kerfs, and not on the surface. We don't want to change the profile of the casing either, so you can't see it with my fingernail. I'm running down the profile of the casing to get some of this out of the architectural detail. Right here, there's a slot, and I'm running my fingernail with the paper towel in the slot to clean it out. And here's another slot. I usually do a little bit of sanding afterwards if it's all dry the following day. Very fine sandpaper. I use one of those foam blocks sandpaper. That's just to get the roughness off, because it'll be a little rough. But you get the gist of it now. Just let this dry up, and you'll be an expert like me. All right. Once again, this is Dry Tex. I can get it in front of the lens here. Dry Dex, D-E-X, Dry Dex. I don't know where I got this from, probably either Home Depot or Lowe's. Dry Dex, DAP Dry Dex Spackling. And it says right here, goes on pink. And that's, you know, other than that, probably no better than any other spackling, other than allows you to see what the hell you're doing. And by the way, off camera, you can't see it now, it's off camera, but that little place where the glue came through, I cleaned it up, and I used a single edge razor blade to clean it up and cut it even. So it looks okay. That's the first time that ever happened to me. Never had that happen before. Okay, we're gonna close this out. There's just one more thing I want to show you, and then that's probably really the end of this, other than taking a final shot when it's all done. Let me see if I can get this camera off. Bear with me, it's on a tripod. This is the only other thing I wanted to show you, was what I ended up doing with this piece of casing on the door here. I ended up putting a pocket joint with my router. I put a pocket in, you can see it, and I'm still able to get this plate on and off, but I don't have any crazy cutout here like most guys do. They cut out the casing, and I hate that. So I just routed a pocket in, cavity. That's about it. I missed some holes here. I have to get to them. But other than that, we're looking pretty good. I get to the end of this, I'll give you a final shot, and then we'll call it finished. Okay, got it all filled in. A little light sanding. And it'll be all done. And so now you know how to do this. Hopefully that won't show up through the paint, that area where the glue came through. It's the only place on here where it happened. And I can't keep this thing in focus, shaking too much, but that's it. That's it for this one. This is one down, two to go. That's the end of this series. Next time you'll hear from me will be when I do the wainscoting.